Well, the Houston Astros sweep the Phillies in a big-time showdown. The Astros are one of the best teams in the American League. How did they get here? Well, Hunter Brown is a big part of this successful run that the Astros are on. Let's talk about it right now.
Jainel Diaz, this is Locked On Astros.
Hello and welcome to Locked On Astros, your daily Astros podcast. Here are your hosts, Eric the Man Huysman and Brett H-Town Wheelhouse Chancey.
We are Locked On Houston Astros. We update you. Join us for a daily Locked On Astros podcast. My name is Eric Huysman. Find me on X at Eric Talk Stros. Find the show at Locked On Astros. Your team every day. Brett, where can you find you at?
They can find me at H-Town Wheelhouse on X, Instagram, and TikTok. They can find me at Stros411 on X and on Facebook. Back to the Bullpen and Wheelhouse Media Company on YouTube, iHeartRadio. Look, I'm always positive, always Stros.
Hey, guys, thank you for making Locked On Astros podcast your first listen every day, whether it's on YouTube. Go ahead, subscribe to us. Help us get to 15,000 subscribers. That would be great. And go and make us your first listen on Apple, Odyssey, Spotify, wherever you listen to your podcasts. Go and check us out. Today's episode is brought to you by GameTime. Download the GameTime app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. So, Brett, I know the Astros swept the Phillies. I know before the series I said it would be great if they sweep the Phillies, but I don't think anybody saw this coming, and they did it with a lot of great pitching. We'll talk about what they did in this series. Hunter Brown, he's pitching really good recently. He's got a good stats in June, but they're just not getting the W's for him. And we'll talk about that. And it's TBA for Saturday. Who's going to be on the mound for the Houston Astros? There's a question that may be answered with how somebody responds tomorrow. We'll talk about that on tonight's Locked On Astros podcast. So, Brett, I know today's game, it seemed like another shutout, and it was looming. You had Hunter Brown dominating the Phillies for 7 innings. He had 9 strikeouts, and it just seemed like you got the 1-0 lead early in the game again. And it just seemed like the Astros were going to take care of business. The Astros haven't had a back-to-back shutouts since I was mistaken yesterday. They did it back in 2012, I think was the last time they did it, but the Astros have been pitching really good recently. I'll tell you how good in a second after I get your initial impressions from today's game.
Well, yesterday I had talked about how it would be interesting if the Astros swept the Phillies and only scored 4 runs. Well, they scored 5 runs in 3 games, and it was just enough to beat the Phillies. And why is that? Because of the pitching, because of your pitchers. And yes, it would be nice to have a W in another win in the win column, but Hunter Brown probably could care less about that. He looked dominant today. The Houston Astros, they just continue to go out there and do just enough. And at the end of the day, you're not just winning games that are close. You're winning games that are close against good teams. These are teams that you have a potential. If you go to the World Series, the Phillies is a team that you could potentially meet. And so what's going to be interesting after this homestand, after this next 3-game series, is when we go on the road. When the Houston Astros go on the road, they play the Rockies and then the Dodgers. Those couldn't be more polar opposite of ball clubs. And we've seen the Rockies get on a little bit of a hot streak here lately, but what the Astros did in these 3 games was nothing other than impressive. And in close games, their pitchers outdueled the other pitchers in Philadelphia, and the offense did just enough. And the Phillies offense, let's just talk about it. They didn't have any answers for Astros pitching.
Yeah, it was even worse than you think. They only had 1 extra base hit the entire series. Wow. And the Astros, this is the second. They allowed the fewest runs allowed in the second fewest runs allowed in a 3-game sweep in franchise history. The only time they've allowed fewer runs in a 3-game sweep was when they shut out the Phillies for 3 consecutive games in August 23rd through to 25th in 1974. I was not even born at that time, so that was way before.
Wasn't either, by the way.
Oh, okay. Thank you for letting us know. But so the Astros improved to 17-7 in 1-run games this year. Last year, they only had 18 wins in 1-run games overall, but they dominated it. For the first 2 games, it was all about the lefties, and they kind of kept the Phillies off balance with the left-handed pitching. But today, Hunter Brown just went out there and dominated. And then you had Brian Abreu came in, and he threw, 2 innings himself? No, 1 and a third innings. Brian Keane, he kind of was a little sloppy today. He allowed the run to he had a blown save in this game. But overall, Brian Abreu came in and got the job done because, Josh Hader wasn't available. And Abreu got 4 outs. All 4 outs were strikeouts.
Yeah, that was impressive. Abreu looked really good. Hunter Brown, again, 9 strikeouts, a 1.74 ERA, one of the lowest, if not the lowest in the league right now. Just unbelievable. Only 3 hits, Eric, no walks. I mean, he continues to do this at an unbelievable clip with very few walks. And all in all, this year so far, he's only walked 28 batters, and we're almost at the halfway point. So that is a really good sign for Hunter Brown. Already has 118 strikeouts, a 175 average against, and a 1.25. I'm sorry. Oh, that's wrong. A 0.89 whip. I mean, Eric, again, what he's doing is really special. Alongside the relief pitchers doing their job, you've got to absolutely love this. I think you said it earlier in the 1-run games. I guess now we're 17-7. But yes. Eric, so when we score 3 runs or less, now the Astros are 18-26. So that number is starting to creep up. And where the Astros are 30-7 when they score 4 runs or more, they're starting to win games where they don't score 4 runs. And this is an offense that isn't going to wow you at the plate. It's not going to have, we've had the 1 4-5 home run game this year, but that's not our calling card. And if Hunter Brown with a performance like this isn't shoved to the front of the line, I don't know who is, because he's literally doing it without hardly any help. Nobody's really hitting behind him to get this going. So he is dealing. Diesel is all gas, no brakes right now.
Yeah, we'll talk more about Hunter Brown in a second, but let's go and focus a little bit on offense, because offense was not really there this sweep, but they got just enough runs. I mean, 1-0, then 2, and then now 2-1 today. So this was a very close series where the Astros did not really out smash the Phillies, but they did just enough to get the job done. And earlier in the game, it was Yainer Diaz singled, and he drove in Jake Myers. So that's how you got the first run in that was in the, I believe, the 2nd inning. And then you didn't get, then they Phillies scored a run on a sacrifice fly late in game in 8th inning. But then right away in the 8th inning, you had Altuve, who was in a bad slump. I believe he was 0 for 18, if I remember correctly. And he had a broken back single that he got on base. And then you had Jake Myers advance him. And then you also had Cam Smith come up with a big situation where he was pumped. He gave the Astros a lead with a single that barely went over the shortstop, but it was pretty cool to see it, and he got really psyched. If you haven't seen that video,
So I was watching the game while I was at my other job. Because I have like 80 jobs right now, but yeah, man. Look, Cam Smith was the only one with the multi-hit game. They did out hit the Phillies 7-4. Again, I mean. But does a series like this worry me about the offense? No, because we know what the offense is. And the Phillies just threw 3 of their best pitchers at them. So it's not like they went up against some yahoo who got pulled up from AA and you don't know how he's going to pitch. The interesting pitching matchups will be against Chicago, because Hunter Brown, Framber Valdez, they're done. So now you got to go to the other guys in the bullpen. But you know what, Eric? They've stepped up. And you're either going to see low-scoring games versus the Cubs, or maybe they slug it out with the Astros. Maybe the Astros decide to bring out the big stick because Kyle Tucker's coming back.
Yeah, we'll talk about that in a second. Guys, thank you for making Locked On Astros podcast your first listen every day.
So this episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app today and use the code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms to apply whether you're going to a baseball game, whether you're getting ready for football season. It doesn't matter where you're going. It could be a concert. Game Time is there to get you where you need to go. And again, if you're a first-time customer, that Locked On MLB code will save you $20 off your first purchase. Terms to apply. I've used Game Time tickets. Eric's used Game Time tickets. You don't have to plan in advance. You get views from your seats. You get all-in-one pricing. There are no hidden fees. They don't sneak a fee in there after you hit accept or payment. It is all right there. And, one of the cool things is with Game Time, I can literally be walking up to the stadium and buy the ticket. So if you go out of town and you go to a game, Game Time probably has tickets for that location. But for all things Houston sports, for all things H-Town, whether it's the arts, whether it's music, whether it's sports, they are there for you today. Go to Game Time and use the code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply. Game Time. Run your game.
Hey guys, thank you for making Locked On Astros podcast your first listen every day. Whether it's on YouTube, go ahead and subscribe to us. Go and make this first listen. Apple, Odyssey, Spotify, wherever you listen to podcasts, go and check it out. So I know we talked a little bit about Hunter Brown before the break, but I do want to kind of talk a little bit more about how unlucky he's been in June. He's been going out there. You kind of alluded to about the offense is not doing it for him. And also the bullpen has been pretty good this year, but they've kind of coughed up some of his leads today, like Brian King did today. But in June, he's 1-0 with a 1.19 ERA and 15 in 5 starts. He has 39 strikeouts in 30 1/3 innings. He has a 0.82 whip, and he's just getting the job done. He's allowing a 130 batting average against him during the span. But unfortunately, he's just not getting the run support that he needs.
Yeah, we remember when Justin Verlander was here. We've had other pitchers here that have had success and they don't get the run support, and it's frustrating, I'm sure, for the pitcher. But what I love about Hunter Brown is I don't feel that he gets rattled. I don't feel that he doesn't panic. And someone was asking me today, I was actually talking to a friend at work, and then I was actually talking to RP3 and them there in Louisiana. And I just said, this team has a culture that's ingrained in them 100%, that they're not worried about the next series. They're not worried about the next inning. They're worried about what's going on then. And what can I do? If I know some intel on this guy, I'm going to tell my other player, hey, this guy comes in on you. You're a right-hander. Bring your hands in, get the ball in the outfield. Whatever they can do to help each other. There's no one person on this team, Eric, that means more than the other. Okay. They are all equals in this puzzle, and they are putting together quite a special season. I didn't foresee this kind of consistency. I thought it would be truly up and down.
Yeah. And that one win he has in June, it's actually 1-0 win over the Rays. So even in that game, the Astros only gave him 1 run of offense. So it's been kind of tough for Hunter Brown, and a player can make excuses and be like, why aren't you scoring runs for me? But he's still going out there and performing. He's doing what's best for the team. And so you have to love a guy like that. But right now he has the best ERA in baseball with a 1.74 ERA, and he has 8 games with 9+ strikeouts, and he ranks second among all AL pitchers with quality starts. So he is doing it this year. And Hunter Brown, you have all these unsung heroes. You have Jake Myers. You have recently been Cam Smith, Victor Caratini. I guess you can say with what he did last year, Josh Hader. There's been a lot of heroes, but I think that what Hunter Brown is doing has been a big reason why the Astros are where they are.
Well, yeah, exactly. And I think it's great that you highlight the fact that he has quality starts, because a quality start to me is more important than the W, as long as your team is winning. And that's where you have to depend on the bullpen to come in. And like today, when you've got a razor thin margin of error and the team, I mean, if the Astros would have put up 2 runs, Hunter Brown would have gotten the win today. And so I promise he doesn't get bogged down by that. Fans may get bogged down by that, but when voters are looking at the body of work that Hunter Brown's doing, they're going to look at quality starts over W's and L's. I mean, they're going to look at what does he do? I mean, this guy sat down at 1 point, 3 of 4 batters struck him out. He was dealing. And you can tell when he's determined or maybe gets a little frustrated because he just pumps that ball in there just a little bit faster. The way he walks off the mound, the way he struts.
Yeah.
His kid's got confidence. He knows he's a big league ace.
Yeah, before we move off Hunter Brown, the last time the Astros, I know they didn't do it today because Brian King allowed the sacrifice fly that scored the run. But the last time the Astros had back-to-back shutouts was back in 2012 to end the season. It was September 30th. Through October 2nd, it was against the Brewers and against the Cubs for 2 games. And the pitchers on the mound are Astros legends. You ready? Jordan Lyles, Lucas Harrell, and Bud Norris. So basically, those guys, I know it's the end of the season, but still, that's notable that this doesn't happen. What the Astros almost did today, despite that run in the 8th inning, they almost had something that hasn't happened in 13 years. So it's very rare for back-to-back shutouts. So I think what the Astros pitching staff is doing is very rare. And I think it shows signs that they can win in the postseason. They, even without scoring a lot of runs, this reminds me a lot of the 2005 team, the team that had a lot of pitching but didn't have a lot of offense because Bagwell had his shoulder issues and was on his way out, and you had Adam Everett and a lot of the players not having great years.
That was a bad offense. That was actually the worst hitting offense to ever qualify for World Series. So at the time, that's how bad they were. I think this offense is a little bit better because you're waiting to get Yordan Alvarez back. Maybe if Jacob Melton comes back and contributes, that's key. Does Bryce Matthews ever get rid of the swing and miss stuff or ever strike out not enough so that he can get called up? I don't know that. But the Houston Astros this year, Eric, I like that they're winning, again, the close games, and they're winning games against teams that seem to be better than them. But now I guess you can call them equals in a lot of reasons because we're either tied or we're ahead of most of the competitive teams that we played.
Yeah, so the Astros are getting the job done. So now the Cubs come to town, and I was just looking at the Cubs stats, and they have a lot of players that hit a lot of home runs, and you would think, well, Kyle Tucker's got to be up there. He's actually 3rd in home runs. You have Pete Crow Armstrong with 21, Suzuki with 21, and then Kyle Tucker has 16. Swanson has 14. Then you have Michael Busch with 13, Ian Happ with 12, and then Carson Kelly, a catcher, has 9. So they have a lot of home runs. So you've got to limit the home run ball when you play the Cubs, and that's the biggest issue. But I think the Astros have the better pitching staff once again. So you just got to go out there and continue to dominate on the mound. But like you said earlier in the show, it's not going to be Hunter Brown. It's not going to be, well, it's going to be Framber Valdez in the final game of the series. But who's going to be on the mound for that game 2? We'll talk about that next. And thank you for making the Locked On Astros podcast your first listen every day. Hey guys, thank you for making Locked On Astros podcast your first listen every day, whether it's on YouTube. Go ahead and subscribe to us. Go and make the first listen on Apple, Odyssey, Spotify, wherever you listen to your podcasts. Go and check us out. So I'm not sure if you've been living under a rock. The Astros swept the Phillies today. So if you're just getting home from work, that happened. And Hunter Brown threw 7 shutout innings, and Cam Smith had the go-ahead run in the 8th inning after Brian Keane gave up the winning run and the tying run in the 8th inning as well. But there's a question mark about who's going to start the game on Saturday. And we had Lance McCullers throw some drills and do some sprints and just practice. And Joe Espada today said that depending on how he responds tomorrow, Brett, he could be pitching on Saturday for the Houston Astros.
Yeah, and let's hope that he pitches well, Eric, because I was just looking at the Astros numbers. I mean, the Cubs numbers. They're second in runs per game, 5.42. Second in overall runs, 434. This team hits a lot. Tied 5th for home runs. Actually, no, I'm sorry. That's Pete Crow Armstrong. They've got a lot of guys in the top 5 for home runs. It's quite insane. But this is an offensive team. I mean, this is a team that already has 118 home runs. Okay. At this point last year in 2024, they had 76. They have 100 less strikeouts. So Lance McCullers has got to be on his A game. He can't have the flub of a game he had a couple starts ago. He's got to deal. He's got to masterfully work the strike zone, hit the spots, and miss bats. If he does that and the Astros offense wakes up a little bit, they'll be able to handle the Cubs. It's going to be a tall order against one of the more powerful offenses in the major leagues. But you saw how the Phillies, who can score, came to Houston, and they basically, outside of a run today, were shut out.
Well, I think that the Cubs lineup is a little bit more spread out than the Phillies. You have a lot of people on the Cubs who can have hit more than 10 home runs than on the.
Looks like we're having some technical issues here. I don't know if he knows if he's frozen or not, but there you go, Eric. Go ahead.
Oh, back. Yeah. So it's just a matter of playing the team that you got. So.
All right. Well, he dropped out there. This has been fun. We've been having a lot of technical issues lately, and I don't know if it's StreamYard or the internet, but anyways, all right, we're back.
I'm glad I'm moving because this internet is killing me. So anyway, I hope you got the point, but
yeah, we got it.
Yeah. So moving on to the Cubs, if you're looking at the pitching, Matthew Boyd has a 2.65 ERA, and among pitchers that qualify for the ERA title, Jamison Talion has a 4.47 ERA, but those are the only pitchers that qualify for the ERA title technically. So if I look at all the other starters, then you can kind of see more, but they've had some injuries this year. They haven't had a lot of pitchers. They've had to deal with a lot of rookies, a lot of people coming in and out of the rotation, but Matthew Boyd is a tough one, and Talion, despite only he's throwing he's got 70 strikeouts and 90 and 2/3 innings. So it just depends on which ones the Astros actually face. So it's gonna be a tough matchup just with the offense. But
is Presley pitching right now?
Yeah, he's still pitching.
Okay.
So and the Astros are definitely going to have some type of video for them coming back. And thank you for your time with the Houston Astros.
Yeah, Presley and Tucker, both of them. Have we ever had 2 players come back with one club? I don't think I've ever seen that.
Maybe with the same club, but not at the same time as the year after. You get
no, that's what I mean. 2 guys coming back on the same club the same day as their first game.
Right.
So that's gonna be a long freaking pregame video, because I mean, heck, if freaking Abraham Toro got a 40-second video, they got to give these guys at least 2.5 minutes each, right? I mean, heck, maybe they'll show Presley's kids growing up or something. It's insane to think that you got 2 former Astros coming to town, and ticket prices are starting to spike. And that's why I'm glad we read that Game Time ad earlier, because don't buy tickets now. Wait until almost game time. Get your tickets. They'll be cheaper.
Yeah. So on Friday's game, it's going to be, Cade Horton? He's one of their top prospects, he's only 23. He's 3-1 with a 3.73 ERA. He has 31 strikeouts in 41 innings. He's going to be facing Brandon Walter, so that's going to be an interesting matchup. Walter's coming off his worst start of his MLB career, or at least with the Astros. So it'll be interesting to see how he rebounds, because he is technically pitching for a spot in rotation. Because, yes, if McCullers comes back on Saturday, then maybe there won't be a spot for Walter going down the road. But this is going to be an interesting matchup, because the Astros don't necessarily do good against pitchers they haven't seen before. But who knows what Horton will do.
So apparently, and I just saw Michael Carrera, one of our faithful followers, just say, apparently the fans have failed Jeremy Pena, because Jacob Wilson and Bobby Witt Jr. are the final two for shortstop. Jose Altuve also didn't make it second. Yeah. So, well, you know what? Oh, well, they're lost. Maybe if our guys don't go to the All-Star game, they'll actually get to rest. I mean, I know
maybe this will be something to revamp the voting system, because clearly, I know if you're looking at
Jeremy Pena people get snubbed every year. They're not gonna be like, you know what, Jeremy Pena deserved it. We're gonna change things up. They're not changing crap. It is a low.
Well, look at the WAR. He's got the second best WAR to Aaron Judge.
This is why the fan vote is flawed.
Yeah, that's
why. Yeah, Alex Bregman is the reserve player going for starter, and he's not even playing.
Yeah.
So,
typically the Astros players, they have some mystery injury that they're resting during All-Star break anyway. So they don't
exactly
really
endear yourself to be All-Stars, if I'm being honest. So you're right about that. I mean,
yeah, that could be a factor here, because Jose Altuve was elected last year, and he had something that he was resting, and so he didn't play an All-Star game. So that could be a factor too.
But Javier Baez made it as an outfielder. Riley Green and Javier Baez. Mike Trout made it. Stephen Kwan. Wow, I just made that name up. Gleyber Torres starting at second behind Jackson, and then Jackson Holiday, Guerrero Jr., Goldschmidt, then of course Cal Riley and Alejandro Kirk, which makes sense. But the top vote getters, Eric, do you want to guess who they were?
Aaron Judge and Shohei Ohtani.
Yeah, exactly. That's about the most obvious thing. Oh my gosh. Ohtani got 4 million. Aaron Judge got 4 million. Ohtani got 3.9. Man.
Yeah.
I thought Ohtani get like 20 million votes or something.
Yeah, but typically some other players are added later on. So I'm sure Jeremy Pena will get into the All-Star game at some point. Will he play? It's been a while since an Astros position player actually played in an All-Star game. So we'll see what happens. I believe, Brett, unless you got anything else, that's all I got for this edition of Locked On.
No, man, we're good. We're good. I'm excited this weekend. We will see you guys and girls Sunday, barring any amazing feats by the Astros or something happens big. Y'all have a good weekend. Eric, you have a good weekend. I'm actually going to the game tomorrow night, so that'll be fun. We get to see Kyle Tucker in a Cubs uniform and hopefully get to watch him lose against the Astros.
All right, guys, thank you for making Locked On Astros podcast your first listen every day, and we will see you on Sunday.
Go Stros.